Okay, just getting my connection straight here. Where are we? Here I am. Terrific. Well, welcome. It is Saturday now. Oops. No, I completely messed up my screen. It is Saturday, July the 28th, 2000 and I don't even know what it is anymore, 2018. Seymour here. It's 10 a.m. on the East Coast, 7 a.m. on the West. Welcome. This is our weekly update. It's number 60. And I wanted this week we've been making one or two rather overdue updates to the website. Is it here? Have we got it in a window someplace? Let's get it up. So magfast.com. And some of you may have noticed that for the longest time we didn't even have a menu up at the top. We just had this kind of main page showing the financial progress. Original goal of 300,000. We've raised about 1.6 so far. We finally added a menu here to give a little bit more background, and we're doing an FAQ. We would love it if you would send your questions to hello@magfast.com. Hello@magfast.com. Suggestions for the FAQ. We think the FAQ is so important. We've given it a main menu item here, and also put it in this about section. But the thing I wanted to talk about today is something that people ask about all the time, very understandably, which is about what's the timeline. You know, like, it's kind of like how long did this thing take, when's it shipping, and so on. I want to talk a little bit about that today and to put it in perspective. We've put it in some detail on the website, like this, the MAGFAST journey. And I just want to point out it's a very long journey, and we're most of the way through it. I've put just kind of the rough timeline on the board behind me, and I thought it'd be fun this week to go through it. There are many, if you've been with us for a while, you probably know all of this, and you may want to just go back to enjoying your weekend. But for folks who've joined us more recently, in an age where you go to Amazon and you press kind of click and something arrives on your doorstep the very next day, or you download something immediately, there can sometimes be an expectation that things move incredibly quickly, and not an understanding of how long things take. And I know we have a huge number of small business owners. We were on the phone yesterday with a gentleman who owns some Toyota dealerships, who was giving us some fantastic feedback and very warm encouragement, and also some suggestions about how we could be doing a better job, an even better job. And we're grateful for everyone's support. And it's particularly gratifying when people have been in business themselves and understand how tough things can be. And if you've ever tried to do something, we have just down the road here some guys set up a small ice cream shop, and I swear it took 9 months. Right, from the first day it was clear that they'd signed the lease. It was 9 months before they opened the doors, and you think, well, how hard can that be? It's just a refrigerator and a scoop, isn't it? I mean, how difficult can it be? And then you actually try to do it, and you discover all of the things that are involved. So I've put the timeline up here, and we are here, right now, and shipping is sort of here. We don't know the exact time for reasons that I've told you many times before, and I will discuss again with you in a minute. But this is the length of the journey, right? Many of the folks watching now, unless they went back to their weekend because I suggested they did just now, have been with us since here. All right, and this is my personal journey, and my wife Amy, and one or two of the team members. This is the length of the journey that we are on to bring you these incredible products. MAGFAST, the company, is younger than that, because as those of you who've been with us for a while know, we had a lot of success before, and then we kind of screwed up, and we went back to our backers and said, look, should we start over? And you guys resoundingly said yes. So let me just take you. I don't want to take up the whole weekend, but let me just go quickly through it. So back here, the first half of 2013, round about Easter time, I went to Costco, and I was trying to get the house tidied up, and charging is obviously one of these things. We're mostly Apple here. We have one or two micro USB devices. I think I've got one Anker charger. We love the guys at Anker. Sell some fantastic chargers on Amazon, and I have a USB Anker charger as well. But we had people who would visit with different types of chargers, and we were trying to get the house set up so that whoever was visiting, we'd got great charging for them, because everyone needs charging all of the time. And back right about here, I went to Costco and bought what I thought was this great package of chargers. And it's something that we're trying to teach Hudson, our daughter, this. the most difficult thing in the world when you're shopping and you see something, you go, oh my God, that's great, is to actually project into the future what it'll be like when you have it in your lives. And I bought this packet of, it was a pack of 3 chargers, and when I got them home and started using them, I realized that even though they looked glossy in the pack, for reasons it would take too long to explain now, but basically they didn't deliver on any of what the excitement was when I was looking at the package. And I started to look at one of the designs, and I thought, my goodness, if one could just change it, if you could put your phone right on top of it, that would be super cool. It would just need a tip on the top, but surely that couldn't be too hard. And if it just had another outlet here, and if you move this in, and I had a few ideas, and I came up with the original idea, which I subsequently patented. It's called extended wall outlet and something. I forget what it is, but we have a US design patent on it, and had no idea at the time. This is back. How far ago is this now? It's 5.5 years ago. Had no idea how to actually get the thing made. Started doing some research and found a couple of companies that would be able to source the components. There was a company in New Jersey that I was speaking to for a while. I'm just pointing because New Jersey's over there in that direction. And we did enough research to figure out that if anybody wanted to buy it, it was something that we could get made. And so what we did then was, I think it was October 15th, might have been 16th or might have been 14th or something, but round about there, 2013, we put that idea onto Indiegogo. And this is the product that, this is the design, I should say, that has now evolved into MAGFAST wall. It was under a different name at the time. You may have seen ThinkJudge at the time. And we put it onto Indiegogo, and this amazing thing happened, which was on the first day we emailed all of our friends and this, that, and the other, and we did $5,000 on the first day, and then it was $3,000 on the second day, and then it was $1,000 on the third day, and so we got, what was that, 5,3, so we got $9,000, and basically the thing had petered out. But what we saw in the numbers was that if we could just get people to come and look at the campaign, that they really, really loved the design. And this was much simpler than what you guys have supported us for MAGFAST. So we were able to take the data from just those very first few days, and we took it to a guy who specialized in getting traffic to internet campaigns, to crowdfunding campaigns. And he started running ads and drove lots and lots of traffic. And over the course of this period here, we did that original campaign, and it raised. Oh, my old brain is giving me a moment here. But I think it was about 640,000, wasn't it? 640k, something like that, which was enough money to get the tooling made. Then around here. All right, because we didn't know if we were going to be able to do it until here someplace. So around about here, we eventually found the manufacturer, the guys at P3 International, who we love. You've heard me talk about them many, many times. Damien and Sean and the crew over there, who've been doing this for 30 years. And at the time, we just knew that they were really solid. They had great execution. In other words, the products that they actually produced and shipped were fantastic. But there was also the hint of the relationship to come. And do you have, if you look back over your life, like a handful of places where seemingly for no reason, like you can remember something like it was yesterday, and oftentimes it's like a wedding or some kind of highlight. Sometimes it's some terrible low light from your life. But I remember the first time that I met Damien. I remember Damien, who runs P3. I remember the first time I saw him. I remember shaking his hand for the first time. I remember incredible warmth and this sense of someone that you could really trust. And boy, did that turn out to be true. So 2014, and then the business of turning the idea into a product began. And it takes a while, It certainly takes a while if you are really careful about it and you're determined to ship something that's of incredibly high quality. So that work of research and getting it right took the best part of a year. And then in here was the block that many of you know by now. It's kind of the 6-month block, 3 plus 3. Is that about right? 3 months, yeah, something like that. Where Once you've finalized everything about the design, there's then 3 months of tooling. That's making the big, solid, hardened steel block. All right, that the hardened steel block that becomes the tool, and then there's another 3 months of getting the product of the tool certified, so that it's certified as safe to plug into the wall. You obviously design it in the first place because you've got the huge investment up to here, including this tool. The tool here alone was about 50k. The certification here, I think, was about 20k, something like that. So you've got $70,000 plus all of the development work beforehand, before you can start to produce anything. Anyway, so the original version of ThinkCharger was made here and was shipping through this period here, and this period here was the source of kind of greatest success, and also the problem for that first company, because the sales graph went kind of like that. It went so the advertising really kind of kicked in the fall of 2015, and it started to grow so hard and so fast. And again, those of you who've been with us for a while, you know this story, and God bless you. You've kind of you've backed us and given us your support the whole way through. But if you're new, we had what seems like this dream scenario for the old company, which is these sales growing like crazy and crazy and crazy. And the problem is, if you don't have the infrastructure in place to support that, it can be incredibly difficult. If you run a coffee shop that normally has 100 customers a day and suddenly it has 2,000, you can imagine that you might not be giving optimal service to those 2,000. In fact, you're probably not giving optimal service to even one of the 2,000. So that was an incredibly important lesson. At the moment, remember, I'm describing a kind of a past life, our old company, which is the place that we learnt the very, very hard lessons. In here, we thought we were going to be billionaires and kind of like, which private island shall I go check out? I'm exaggerating, but there was this feeling that we had hit some success and we were going to get something for our efforts. And then the beginning of 2016 came, and this happened, and it happened very hard and very fast. And there were a number of reasons for that. The principal ones were that because we were not serving customers well at this point, a lot of people who were waiting were kind of swarming customer service, and it became very difficult, and we had to refund folks and so on. The other thing that was that because one always imagines that the graph is going to do that, we placed some very large orders at the factory for the old product, and then that placed a huge financial burden. So 2016, I mean, I've got it in black here, but it should really be in red. This was by far the most difficult period of my life, certainly professionally. Yeah, I had a personal patch that was kind of difficult 25 years ago, but professionally this was incredibly hard, because we started the year with seemingly this incredible success, and then 2016, by this point in the year here, it was clear that it was not going to be possible to save it. Mercifully, by here we had shipped 250,000 chargers to 80,000 folks. Many of you are watching this now. I love you. God bless you. Thank you for being with us. And as I've told you before, a number of people who weren't shipped. Mercifully for them, the credit card system, as I've also described to you before, protects you under those circumstances. So the folks who weren't shipped just go to their credit card company, and the credit card company had already charged the old company fees to account for such an occasion. And then we've got this period here where Amy and I, and we had a team of here, I guess 25 people involved or something, because we had a lot of people come in for customer service. Now it's down to just Amy and me. The kind of company was gone. Still very good friends with one or two of the folks who had, still good friends, I would say, actually, I think with everybody who was involved here, but one or two very, very close friends. And I sent an email to everybody. First of all, this is the incredible thing under circumstances like this email list belonged to the old company. It didn't belong to me. So the old company was kind of done, but I couldn't just email everybody. I had to go get legal advice. What about am I allowed to email people, this, that, and the other? And so Amy and I, who'd basically got no money because things hadn't worked out, had to kind of get a credit card and buy the mailing list from the old company in order to be allowed to send out emails. But anyway, we sent out emails to the supporters of the old company. Just about here, it was like just in here when I look back on it. I hadn't realized it was quite so late, but I think it was the 28th of December. 28th of December 2016, and we emailed and we asked everybody, we basically explained in even more detail than I have here. We explained exactly what had happened, why there had been challenges, what we got right, where we'd made mistakes. And we asked a very simple up or down question, which is, should Amy and I, the Hudson River's just over there, should we go jump in the Hudson River? Should we get out of Dodge? Should we give up and go away and never try again? Or should we get back on the horse? Should we take all of the lessons from the old company and start again from nothing? Right? I mean, literally a few $1,000s left in the bank and some credit cards. And the vote went out, and when the vote came in, it was 84%. I do believe in accuracy. 84% said start over. So we felt that that's much better than you'd ever get in a presidential election or pretty much any political election. We felt that this was a very strong mandate from the people who knew us best, who had been through that journey with us, to get back in and start over. So what we did was, through the first few months here of 2017, worked really hard on putting together the business plan and the presentation of what we believed was now possible in the charging industry. Because you have to remember, here, when I'd had the original idea for the original wall charger, right, the one that's now become MAGFAST wall, it was just a single charger. But in my mind, as I was going along, I was developing this idea for what charging could be and how it was possible to really make something different. And many folks watching joined us on March the 21st here of 2017, when we did the secret launch. We did a live launch at midday Eastern on Tuesday the 21st of March. And it was the most extraordinary day of our lives. If you've watched the more recent version of the presentation, we actually tell the story of that. But essentially, we had I had the most extreme, certainly in business, the most extreme swing from optimism to devastation to elation, and then back to kind of like a very harsh reality, all in the space of just a very few hours here. And I'll just take you through that really quickly. Basically what happened in here was that obviously we'd done a huge amount of work. Here we had been emailing folks and inviting them to come join us for the launch. March the 21st at 12 noon. The presentation was pre-recorded because it was complicated enough that it would be almost impossible to do live. Like a big company could do it live with lots of technicians and everything, but for us it needed to be pre-recorded. But we broadcast it we broadcast it live, as it were, live on tape, as they say. The Late Show, live on tape from New York. And it went out at 12 noon, and at just after half past at 12:35, we said, look, if you're watching this and you'd love to support us, you'd love to stick with us through this journey, we said, if you'll buy a couple of you pre-order, crowdfund a couple of the products, then we'll give you a whole load of others when we ship. And there was this crazy number. I've told you before, $250,000 in the first 10 minutes, which is so incredible. I find that most kind of accountants and bankers and these sorts of people cannot even get their heads around it. They just simply don't believe it. But we have all of the data. We have a spreadsheet showing when every single order came in. If you're one of those original people, I mean, if you're watching now, thank you. But if you're one of the people from that day, thank you so much. In fact, if you're anybody from anywhere along this timeline, thank you so much. So we had this incredible surge. Everything was fine on that day. Was such a strong launch that we had enough money for the tooling. We had which is the expensive tools. Remember, I spoke about the tools here, and we also had enough funding available to pay for everybody and to pay for all the tooling. And then that evening we get an email from the credit card processor Stripe, who had collected all of this money from you guys, saying, oh, we find this sudden surge in orders to be very suspicious, and all this, that, and the other. And so we went through this process for much of 2017, arguing with Stripe about the business that you guys were supporting. And they released very slowly most of the money, but they still hold hundreds of thousands of dollars. And this area of credit card processing, again, I've spoken about it before, proves to be the most difficult area, because while the credit card processors would be fine if we were offering prostitution or drugs or something, as long as it's being delivered right away, they're fine. But they're very, very nervous about anything that's being delivered in the future, and they won't spend enough time to study the team. All right, we've got, I forget what it is, it's sort of 150 years of experience in shipping products now because of our relationship with P3. Our business model is completely different than it was back then in terms of our ability to convert advertising into customers. So anybody who studies it is like, this is amazing, but they won't take the time. As you know, if you go to, when I was a kid, you go to the bank, you sit down with the bank manager, and they study your business, and they make a call on whether their bank should support you. Now they put everything into an algorithm, and if you don't happen to pattern match what someone in an algorithm boiler room created, then it's very tough. But anyway, working with our friends at P3 through here, we have now, those of you who've joined us more recently, you'll have seen P3 on your credit card statement, and that's because the folks at P3, whilst MAGFAST itself is a relatively new company, right? Founded 2017. P3 has been around for 30 years. 30 years they've been manufacturing stuff and bringing it in. They've seen it all. The huge Damien Krause has been here for 30 years, but he's German by originally. Now he's obviously a citizen now, but he's just has this fanatical commitment to product quality. And to be honest, if he didn't, things would move more quickly. But I've promised you that we're going to deliver something that you're incredibly proud of and that you'll be using years from now, rather than trying to run the gun. So that's where we are now, working with P3. We're back in commerce. The business is going along. It still has challenges, as any young business does. Mercifully, as I've described before, you're completely protected by the credit card company. That's why things are tough for us through here, right? Is because they're because they have a commitment to you. They keep reserves of cash. And it makes it tough for us, but as you've learned by now, we're pretty determined, and we're going to be shipping something really amazing. So the rest of the timeline in here, so we're here. Soon we will get back into this 3+3, and I don't have an exact time on that because everything must be right. Remember I said here that there was $70,000 tied up in here? All right. Well, when we do the tooling here, the tooling is going to be about $200,000 for MAGFAST. The certification will also be back at around 20 because it's only wool, what that plugs into the wall, that needs to be certified. So we got certification is going to be, let's call it 20. However, because this is all so much more complicated than the original simple product, because there's multiple products, they have to snap together and work together perfectly. There's also 120K in development already in there. So what's all that when you add it up? 4, right? So 340K, right? If you start tooling without having everything perfect, you wouldn't waste the certification because that comes after, so you'd know you'd made the mistake. So you wouldn't waste that. But you're in at $320,000 would be wasted if you started tooling without getting everything perfect. All right, which would obviously be disastrous. We would figure out a way around it but we're not going to make that mistake. That's an insane thing to do. So rather, we're working to make sure that we get all of the design perfect. You will be thrilled when it arrives. And then we go into this 3-month, here it is, the 3-month tooling block, 3-month certification, and again, those can move like this, right? Hopefully it'll be as close to now as possible. We're putting the finishing touches to what we hope is the final prototype. Why do I say hope it's the final prototype? Because if you make it and you're not happy with it, then you make another prototype. That's the point about prototypes. And how many did Edison? I don't want to misquote it. I think they say 3,000. Like when he was working on the light bulb, there were 3,000 light bulbs before he was kind of like, okay, we've got a light bulb now. We don't need 3,000 prototypes. We need kind of 2 or 3. But we're in here, and then as soon as certification comes, actually, because we're together, you and us together, we're a fairly small family. We will actually be able to manufacture fairly quickly. We'll send the first couple out by air, so the very first few customers will get theirs pretty soon after certification. Like there'll be a few weeks after that. We'll manufacture and send them out by air, and then for most folks, the product goes onto a ship, and the ship takes 3 weeks on the water plus time in what's called in customs. Right, there's time loading onto the dock and completing all the paperwork in the Far East, and then unloading here and shipping. And we are looking into that thing where you can ship directly from the Far East, hoping to keep the, shipping costs down for you and for us, and to speed things up as well. So, so this is the length of the project. We are here now, and we're shipping here. All right, and so whilst all of us wish that we were shipping right now, no one more than me. You see how much of my life I looked like a teenager when this thing started, and now I look like I'm 2 steps from the grave. So I've put a lot of me and a lot of my life into this, with the incredible support of Amy, who's actually amazingly taking a few hours off. She's taking our daughter Hudson to Long Island for some time with relatives today, but I'm here in the office, as you see, on a Saturday, as so often as I am almost every Saturday. So that's it. Thank you. Slightly long one this week, but I hope that's been worthwhile, especially if you've just joined us more recently, giving you some perspective about the size and the scope of this project. We want to be completely transparent with you. We did some great work here, and we crashed out. You guys told us to go back in again. We've done it extremely cautiously and carefully this time. Essentially, the greatest challenge, because obviously there's 1,000 little challenges, but the greatest challenge through here has been the way that the credit card companies work now. They weren't like that back there, but they've changed their policies. So they've been very challenging for us to work with, because they're protecting you. So that's the long and the short of it. Thank you for sticking with us. Your questions, please, to hello@magfast.com, hello@magfast.com. Thank you for being with us. We love you. You're incredible. And we'll see you at the same time next Saturday. Thanks for now. Bye-bye. Ooh, where's my off button? There it is.